Hello, hello. Hi, welcome Dee on our set.
Hi.
I'm so
Hello.
excited.
Hey,
Thank you
Brenda.
for making time. I know you're so busy. You've got kids, you've got work, family, everything to take care of, and you're making time just, to be on this set with us because you have so much to share, right?
Yeah, I hope so.
Yes. All right. So allow me to just quickly introduce you to our viewers.
Sure.
Yeah. Um, Dee is someone who's been in the recruitment space, headhunting space for the last 19 years. Great wealth of experience. Okay, and she also runs an employment agency across UK, Singapore, and Hong Kong. Yeah, she's a qualified copywriter and a trainer. And one really interesting thing about her is that she's been cast in numerous theater shows and acting, singing, and improv roles. Wow, multi-talented girl power. I've got to watch her on theater one day, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so well, the reason why I'm having Dee on this set today, right? I think there's something really amazing about her. You see, she not only has experience in the recruitment as well as headhunting, in the expertise, but she's also gone a step further of setting up her own business. Yeah, so I think there's a lot of gems that we can get out from her today. Okay,
I hope
so
so.
well, Dee, I understand that you have just recently ran an emergency career clinic. Yeah,
Yes, yes.
especially during this COVID situation. How's the situation like? I mean, like, what's something in common that you have picked up from, the attendees
Mm.
joined you? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, good question. Yeah, we ran an emergency job clinic
Mm,
online, and the purpose was to give people a better job search strategy than what people are usually used to doing. So what people
okay.
are usually used to doing is writing up a CV, sending it via job boards to advertise jobs, and then they wait. They wait for a response, and inevitably, you could send out hundreds of CVs and then get zero responses. This is very normal for
Okay.
people to, and they have become. People accept that even though they send the CVs out, they may not hear anything, right? And so that is not the way to do a job search in today's age. And so the purpose of the job clinic was to give better tools to help people find a job. And so the sentiment is, it was a bit of an experiment to run it, but what I've realized is that we're going to have to continuously run this, especially during current times. So we're going to have to repeat this over and over because people are losing jobs. And the very first batch was those that had either lost their jobs or were worried about their jobs. And, because the situation is changing live every
Yeah.
day, people are losing their jobs every day. So the people that are losing it today may have missed out on the job clinic last week. So we're going to run it regularly to catch people as the situation unfolds. And with my futuristic hat on, I believe we have not felt the full repercussions of this yet. So the extent of the job losses are still yet to unfold, in my opinion. But if you look at the data coming from America,
It's
and
scary.
the however many million that have lost their jobs, it's scary, but we can't fight against it. What we can do is arm ourselves with tools as to what we're going to do next.
So what I'm hearing also is I would say that, getting a job these days is beyond just being able to ask the right questions or having a great resume. Do you think that is all that's needed? I mean, so far currently, even before the COVID virus, right? I mean, because I help people through life transitions, yeah, and I get clients coming to me, and always, can you have a look at my resume, or like, um, how do I get around asking the right questions? And to me, it's beyond that. I'd love to hear your take on this. We got to change
Yeah.
that mindset.
Yes, yeah. That's a really good question, and that's something that a lot of people. That's one of the big mistakes, I'd say, that a lot of job seekers are making, is that they put a lot of the emphasis and the time on them of the CV, right? And the CV is important, but what's more important is their online branding, and their how memorable they are online is more important, and or online and offline. Okay, because opportunities come through the network. That's the best way to get an opportunity, through your network, as opposed to a job board, because a job board is there's hundreds of job seekers competing for that one job, right? So if you don't want to be in that mix and mess of CVs and noise, you need to pull yourself out and differentiate yourself by being memorable online. So networking, branding online are the key power tools before your CV even comes into play. And let me back this up with a bit of a story for you.
Okay.
Or an example, okay, just to make this point super clear. So back in 2018, back end of 2017, beginning of 2018, I was really interested in the whole blockchain and cryptocurrency furore. And so I was part of I was doing cryptocurrency investing, really learning about the technology, and I'm still super interested in it. But anyhow, I was part of this quite intimate Facebook group, about 1,000 people. We would do regular lives, etc., to learn about, where things are moving. And the owner of that group was releasing a hybrid blockchain project, an app, right, for social buying, a bit like eBay or Carousel in Singapore, but for socially conscious businesses, right? And the ethos was to sell, repurpose, recycle goods. Anyway, it had a really, really good mission, etc. And the guy was looking for a copywriter to write up the white paper for this project to raise funding in seed funding rounds. Now, I'm a copywriter, but I've never written a white paper. It's like going back to like doing a dissertation in your university days. It's a big, well-researched document, right? And so he was looking for somebody, and I said, all right. I put my hand up and said, okay, I'm really happy to do this. And, I wasn't expecting any money. It was just a goodwill pro bono gesture. What was in it for me is the experience of writing a big, solid research paper, which helped me to expand my own copywriting, but also I really felt that the work itself involved to go in and research blockchain was really going to help me understand things. So that's what was in it for me as far as I was concerned. And what was in it for them is that they get a well-written, professional, well-researched document for free, right? And so I went ahead and I did this white paper, about 20,000 words, and spent intense time researching and produced the white paper for them, right? Lots of backwards and forwards, editing, whatever. In the end, the team started to invite me on their Zoom calls, and they had people in America, UK, and then me in Singapore. And they started to invite me because I had done all the research, so I had a lot of knowledge already about where this project could go. So I would say, yes, okay, I'll get involved with those calls. And those calls were at stupid times, like for me, 3:30 a.m. or 4 a.m., right? And I remember really being quiet in the house because I didn't want to wake the kids up. And, we'd have these 1 to 2 hour calls on Zoom. But I did it because I was uploading value, and at this point, I'm not getting paid anything, right? I'm just doing it because, and I wasn't expecting anything, but I loved the project, I loved the team, etc. Anyway, so I would do that. I would show up on Zoom and I would give a lot, front load value, right? And then eventually the guy said to me, Dee, we would like you on the board of the team and give you a stake in this business. So he offered that to me, right? An equal stake with them to be in charge of their business development side of things, right? And so I thought about it, and long story short, I said no in the end. I said, I've got these other projects that I'm in. I feel I can't give myself to that, right? It started off with just doing the white paper, and it ended up with me being offered this board level position, right, on a really good tech project, right? But it didn't suit me with other things going on. My point of this story is, at no point had they seen my CV, right? How could you get a position, a stake of a company, and never have seen my CV, right? The reason they got that is two reasons. Number one, the network. I was networked with the right people. Number two, I front-loaded value first. with
Right.
no expectations. I showed what I was capable of. I showed them my work. They got to try before they buy, right? And that put me in a really powerful position because they then saw the value, and then they then made me this offer, which I had no idea would be going that way, right? So this is a story that shows how you can put a lot of emphasis in the CV, but you can land up in very powerful positions, roles, or your dream role, etc., even without your CV, if you do other things.
Yeah, and I would totally agree, you know, how you can really show value through, it's just you as a person. It just reminded me of many years back, you know, I've met investors who always look for opportunities to invest in businesses. And you know what, they don't, you know, at first point, they don't even look at, okay, what jobs have you done, or what businesses have you started, what's the results, but they look at you as a person. It's like the first key thing they look at, you know,
Yeah.
and just by talking to you, right, just few questions, because they're so savvy, right, and they could just see about your capabilities,
Yeah,
you know, and your
exactly.
strengths, your values. That's so key.
Yeah, totally. I mean, you know, from their point of view, what were they seeing? They were seeing a girl that said yes to writing this big chunky document. That took me a long time, right?
Yeah.
They knew I had 2 kids. They saw a girl that said yes to waking up and doing these 3:30 a.m. phone calls with no complaint, right? They saw somebody that was willing to go the extra mile, and they thought that that's the type of person we need on the team because she's an action taker. She makes things happen. Now, obviously, that not everybody may have done those things, but my purpose of sharing that story is to encourage people to consider front loading value, or to make themselves be seen in such a way. Now, I was being seen and noticed because of these things, right? But there are so many ways to be seen and to be memorable.
Mm-hmm. Lovely. And you know, you mentioned about opportunities through networking. Yeah, it'd be great to hear a bit more as you know, elaborate more on this aspect, because especially someone who's been working, you know, it's unlike a businessman or entrepreneur. We are out there networking all the time, getting clients. But you know, as an employee, I'll be thinking, networking, how does that work? How does that really get me, you know, a job opportunity? You know, is it something that I do not know about?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so the thing is, here's the thing. So I love networking. So let me frame that, okay? Networking queen, okay? And, you know, I think I've been networking since I was a child on the playground, yeah? We all have been networking, okay? So we need to think about what it is. I actually hate the word networking. It reminds me of like cables, right? Like network cables. It's not a great word. Connecting is a better word, right? Connecting is a better word, much better word, because networking, you know, you can network with somebody, meaning you can connect with them on, or you could link with them on LinkedIn, for example. So now you're networked. But you know, that could be an empty connection. That could be nothing until you run something through the wire, right? You run something, what I mean is conversations, dialogue, you nurture that, right? Then it's a solid connection, right? Then it's a solid, meaningful connection that is working, It's not just an empty cable, right? That doesn't do anything. So how do I network? Back to your question, you know, if I've been working, you're networking all the time. I will network in a supermarket queue. I talk to people, you know, genuinely I'm interested in humanity. That's networking. Whatever you want to call it, networking, connecting, or whatever. Back when I was a child playing marbles on the playground, I was connecting with people there. I knew who was good, who was not good. I knew who to negotiate with, to, you know, someone who had the best marble that I had my eyes on. I knew exactly, like, okay, I want that marble. How do I trade with them? Who do I need to connect with? You know, we are born to connect, right?
Yes.
The question is, so when you go to work, all those people that you work with in your office, they're not just your colleagues, they're possibly connections. If you work in a big corporate, who's working on the floor above, who's working on the floor below? You know, who's your next door neighbor? Who's like in your office, all those other companies in that office that you're in a lift with? Who are they? Talk to them. After work, do you go straight home? Maybe, but do you also carve out time to attend events? Because in Singapore, where we are, okay, apart from this current period, but you could be out every single night at an event. And honestly speaking, I am more busy now on lockdown with all these variety of online networking opportunities than I have ever been.
Wow.
When before lockdown. Come on, Brenda, you know as well as I know that you and I could be on as back-to-back Zoom 7 days a week. Right now I think that there's 2 invites that I've got for like these massive weekend summits, virtual summits that are going on. These are all networking opportunities.
Yeah.
Every single moment, the minute you step out is a networking opportunity. The question is, like my next door neighbors, like I could go to them now, and if I don't know who they know, but I could be like, if I need some help with something, I could go to them and say, look, do you let's say I want to move or something, I could go to my next door neighbor who's been living here all their life and say, I'm going to move, could you help me? Do you know any agents that could help me? I'm sure they probably could. They would know someone that knows someone that knew someone. But the question is, like, you got to put yourself out there, right?
Yes.
You got to be out there. You've got to be out there. You've got to be memorable. You've got to be asking the questions. But if you're just like a really shy, hidden, that's not going to serve you post lockdown, because so many things are online now. So the key is to be memorable. How are you going to be memorable? That's the question that we should all be asking ourselves.
That's a great question, yeah, because everyone is online now, and how do you make yourself visible? Everyone's just throwing in their resumes in from job streets to job search, right? And can you imagine, we're talking about hundreds and hundreds of people applying for the same job.
Yeah.
And how do you really make yourself stand out? Yeah,
I
love
so let me pre-frame this, right? Why are recruitment agencies in business, and why is it a multi-billion-dollar industry globally?
Yes.
The reason, and why are recruitment agencies still in business despite there being an explosion of job boards and despite LinkedIn entering the market and allowing companies to advertise jobs? So
exclusive insights now.
do you know what I mean? Like LinkedIn, right, should on theory and on paper have really broken the recruitment industry. Why? Because they created a job platform where now employers could directly contact these job seekers, right? They made it really easy to connect. But why, despite that, are recruitment agencies still in business? And the reason is because recruitment agencies spend all their time and money networking. They do the stuff that job seekers don't do.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then the companies pay the recruitment agency, not for the CV, but they pay them for the access to their network. Because the agency has spent all that time, money, effort networking to grow their network and create depth in their network. And that's why they're paid thousands of dollars per person that they place into a job. And that's why job seekers come to these agencies, because the agencies, the recruiter and the headhunter does all the networking for them. Right? So that's why I'm, apart from loving networking, I'm trained to network. It's like in my DNA. But this is the message I'm trying to put out to normal job seekers, is that you need to do what recruiters do. It's time to use this is what my mum always used to say to me. Use your own legs. Don't rely on a stick or on a walking stick or on a crutch, right? So job seekers need to use their own legs now and stop relying on the job boards and recruitment agencies, because you can copy what a recruitment agency and a headhunter does, and you could infinitely increase your conversion. And become a powerful networker at the same time.
I totally agree with you, and I think most people don't see the importance of networking, and the word networking scares many people.
Yeah, it's a horrible word.
We need to find a new word.
I don't know if connecting is a better word. It's a bit sort of a bland. I'm going to have to think of a new word for this, but for now, people understand what networking means. But honestly speaking, if there's anyone watching this and you want to take away just one thing, that is my message, that you have to network. You have to network. You have to be memorable, because the people that are not memorable will be lost and forgotten amongst the noise, particularly as we go online even more so.
Right. Yeah, that actually comes to my question. I really wanted to ask you, you know, what advice would you give to job seekers or people in career transitions, especially during this period, right? How can they better prepare themselves? And I would say the key thing is really network. And the big question is the how to.
Yeah, okay. So right now is a beautiful period to reskill and upskill.
Yes.
That's one thing, yeah. And we need to constantly be reskilling and upskilling. I am constantly spending hundreds of thousands. I have spent so much on my personal development, and it doesn't stop even during this period, because we need to stay relevant. And so many of us have been caught in a deer with like in headlights, right? Like, oh my God, you know, lockdown, what do we do? Oh my goodness, we need to go online. Oh, we're not so good at this. I don't know how to do the technology. You know, what lights do I need? What mic do I need? How do I, you know? So we are being forced to, like, as a trainer and a speaker, we're forced to speed up my learning curve to remain relevant, right? And so for whatever industry people are in, ask yourself, are you relevant? Not today. Are you relevant 1 year, 5 years, 3 years? And the answer is you won't know, because the speed of change is so fast. So you're gonna, like, if I was, whoever I was in whatever field, even if I was a toilet cleaner, I would be asking myself, am I using the best tools? Is this the best like material available to me to clean the toilet? Is the world going green? In which case, should I be using like chemical-free stuff? And, you know, I don't know. Like, I would constantly be looking to make sure I am the best of the best and at the top of my game in whatever the thing is. So I'd be looking for courses, I'd be looking for coaches, mentors, all of that to make sure I'm right at the front. Okay, so that's one thing, because once you're doing that, you can start putting that on your CV, right? And the other thing I would be doing is making sure that I'm turning up online as much as possible. Now, I know this is an area, a point of friction for some people, because people aren't comfortable doing what you and I do, Brenda, and talking online or doing lives and things. Okay, so for some, but it may be easy for an extrovert, for example, to show up and do certain things like videos and lives. So if you're comfortable to do that, then do that, right? Make video your medium to show up. If you're not comfortable doing videos, then write articles and blogs and publish them on LinkedIn. I use Medium and I use LinkedIn to publish articles. Those article links I can put on my CV and say, this is my published work, or this is the articles I've published on LinkedIn. Here's my Medium handle. If you can write stuff, that creates you as a thought leader within your field. Now, if you're upskilling and reskilling, then you should be able to have some knowledge that you can talk about to the people that haven't upskilled and reskilled, right? So you're creating yourself as a thought leader. So, you know, and other people may prefer things like podcasting, right? My point is, whether you blog, whether you do podcasts, whether you do videos, whether you do posts, you have to do something. You have to make some noise. Now, whatever noise looks like to you, that you got to decide that based on your personality. But if there's something in you that's, or if, the minute I said that, if there's any listener that's thinking, I'm not comfortable, that's a gift. You've just been told, your body and your mind has given you a clue as to the area you need to work on. Yeah, so I'm going to repeat that. If at any moment I said, like, go live, do videos, do blogs, any moment you felt, I can't do that, or I'm not good enough, or I don't know how to do that, that is your clue of the next skill you need to work on to upskill.
I love this. This is really powerful.
You see the passion.
I hope your viewers are taking down a lot of notes, because you see me holding a pen and I'm just taking down notes as well, even though I have this recording, right? Okay. I mean, even for me, you know, constantly upgrading as well. And you have painted a beautiful story, very clear for people to understand, you know, the whole idea behind how upgrade or upskilling is like. Yeah, painting the whole scenario. And I love how you say, you know, are you ready for the next 1 year, 3 years, or 5 years? Because we're changing so fast all the time. Yeah. And really, to the employees, or you're in career transition, you know, positioning yourself out there, putting out posts, making yourself looking like a thought leader or subject expertise, at least in your field, will make you stand out, and that hirers will see, hey, that person is interesting. I'd love to have a chat with you.
Yep, and you know
Yeah.
there are more things you can do. You can join. I think from today, as if I'm not wrong, LinkedIn allows you to join 50 groups. Join 50 groups. Go in and don't be one of those silent observers that watches everybody else. Be Contribute, write something, comment, engage, ask a question. That's how you become memorable. So let me give you an example here. I run a group on Facebook. It's only like 8 weeks old, right? But it's a new group called Wildly Ambitious Mama Entrepreneurs. It's a really targeted group for mummy entrepreneurs specifically, right? And, you know, it's probably up to about 68 members, but those 68 members, like the group is really highly engaged. But when I delved into it and I asked on the job clinic itself, there was one of the members was on the job clinic and we were talking about how to make yourself memorable. So I said, you know what, I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to go over to that girl who's in this group, this group of mine, and I'm going to ask her, out of those 68 members of that group, how many names can you remember just from the top of your head? And she said 5. And I said, why can you remember those 5 people? And she said, because they're constantly posting, they're constantly asking questions, they're constantly like showing up. So I'm like, think about that for a minute. 5 women out of 68 women come to her mind immediately because they are the ones who are showing up. They're the memorable ones. And so this story is applicable to the job market as well. Right? So if you are a silent person and you're not on the radar of anybody, you're forgettable. Nobody knows you. Like, you know, you're not going to go anywhere. You're going to be out of your job for a long time and your money is going to be impacted and your livelihood's going to be impacted. And that is going to cause depression and mental health issues as well as fractures within your family. Please make no mistake of, I am not dramatizing the problems here. One issue leads to another. Yes. We don't want that, right? We don't want you to lose your income or spend a year job searching if we can cut that right down to 1 month or 2 months. Yeah, but you have to do the work and be memorable. And so being memorable is showing up. So for me, if I was job searching, I would go onto groups on LinkedIn. I would try and go onto groups where I think the type of people like hiring managers are, HR people are for the companies that I want to be in. So if, for example, I wanted to target tech companies in Singapore, I would try and target groups around tech companies in Asia, tech companies in Singapore, tech companies per se, where I might feel that these people are hanging out. And then I would be engaging and asking questions and tagging them. And I would try and get onto their radar, right? Get onto their radar by repeating and seeding these actions. Right? And then I would approach them directly with a message via LinkedIn using in-mails. That's what I do.
Wow, viewers, you know, what you're hearing right now, you know, it would have cost a lot of money to be coached by Dee, actually, but she's like disclosing this really exclusive information here, yeah? Otherwise, we'll be charging a lot for your coaching, right? So I hope you have taken note of this. Even for me, lots of learning down here today. Okay, so Dee, before we come to, I would say, almost the end of our session, is there anything else that you feel is really important for job seekers, people in career transitions, anything that's not asked and you feel it's important that the viewers need to know?
I mean, it's a repetition, but repetition is good. Whoever builds the richest network wins. The richest. And when I say richest, no, I didn't say whoever builds a network wins. I said the richest network. Think about riches, right? When I think of riches, I think of a vault and it's full of diamonds and gems and gold, right? We fill it with value, things of value, right? So the richest network is a network that is full of value giving. Yeah, so for my network, whoever's in my network, I would like to think I deliver value to them, okay? Constantly looking to give and give value. And the law of reciprocity plays out. Whatever you give does come back. But I don't even go in there with that notion in my mind. When I gave that white paper, what came back was a percentage stake and a board level position for a tech business that I decided to not take up, right? That's a powerful position to be in, right? So the richest network, concentrate, use this downturn to reskill, upskill, and build rich networks. You know, the other day, yesterday or the day before, not yesterday, day before, Thursday, I went out to the post office for the first time, and I took a pile this big, right? And they were letters, cards, they were inspirational notes that I had written to people in my network in Australia, UK, Hong Kong, handwritten, because things are too noisy online. I sent a book to somebody and I paid for all that to send that out. That is just an example of, you know, being memorable, caring for your network. No, I'm not saying go and post people letters. That's just one thing that I do because I love it as much as I love writing, right? So I did that. Those were gestures of love. But, you know, it may not be appropriate for everyone, but I'm checking in with people. To like later on today, I'm going to do a live with my own business network on LinkedIn and Facebook, giving them some tips. They are job seekers who have registered with our agency over the last 13 years. And at this moment in time, we may not be able to help them find a job, but what I can help them with is teaching them the stuff that we do for them. I can instead go, you know what, I want to teach you how to do all this stuff for yourself because you need it. And there's no point me keeping all that know-how up here. There is no point, because we have a bigger role to contribute right now. And as an agency, that's the position we want to take, you know, because we can't help people find jobs right now when jobs are being frozen. But what I can do is train them on how to be memorable, how to network, how to build rich networks, and how to push, reskill, upskill. I can do that. So I will do that, and our company will do that. So that's what I mean. You know, putting yourself out there and thinking about all of that. I don't have the answers per person, but I would encourage people after this call to sit down with themselves, a journal, a pen, and a paper, and sit down with themselves, no phone, and really have a brain dump on paper as to how can I make myself more memorable on LinkedIn? How can I make myself more memorable on Facebook? What am I uncomfortable with? That's the clue of what you need to reskill on, upskill on. Yeah. So that's the kind of, I know it's not one message, it's so many messages, but I hope I'm making it in a clear enough way to hit somebody in the head so that they take action after this meeting. Oh, after listening to this.
I love this. So, Dee, are you still running your emergency career clinic?
Yes, we're going to basically run that over. I think the next one will be in a couple of weeks. So maybe, Brenda, if you're cool, we can share the link and people can register for that. And, you know, I'm making the pricing for that so that people can choose what they want to pay for it. Pay what you think that kind of content would give you in terms of value, you know. So, you know, there should be no excuses, because, you know, you can get in on that on a really low, pick whatever range you want, you know, we don't care. The point is just get in and train yourself.
So can people who are exploring entrepreneurship get on that as well?
Of course, because, you know, okay, so I don't know if I've got time for this. I'll make a super quick story, right? You know, I turned up here in Singapore in 2007, right, to set up this employment agency with a zero database, zero clients, zero candidates, zero relationships. I knew nobody, right? I've left friends, family, everybody to come to this island to set up this employment agency. So, you know, we set it up in 2007 and basically opened our doors in 2008. And what was happening in that time? The global recession. We set up this agency in a global recession. Think about the business model. Our business model is to find people jobs. We set this agency up at a time when people were being made redundant and losing jobs. These are not prime conditions, people, to set up an employment agency, but we did it. And we had the best first 3 years, right? We built it to a 7-figure entity within the first 3 years, despite those conditions, because we networked. Business development, we networked, we made ourselves memorable, we were knocking on doors, we were calling people and doing so much activity to get ourselves known. We were doing more and making more noise than our competitors. And that's how we opened doors. So for entrepreneurs who need to, every entrepreneur needs to develop business, every entrepreneur needs to make sales. You know, all these messages of building rich networks and networking are as relevant to a job seeker as it is to an entrepreneur with a new business or an existing business. Doesn't make any difference. Networking or connecting is the same thing and the same skill. that one must master. So much so that I believe that networking, negotiating, and teaching grit are the key things that we should be teaching our kids in school, because these are the life skills we need, despite what situation we find ourselves in.
Amazing. Well, I'm definitely getting onto your emergency career clinic.
Yes,
I'm really getting
yes.
so inspired from your sharing here today.
Yeah, thank you for this opportunity. I hope it helps somebody.
Yes, definitely. And I think you have also on the last part gave a bit of a sharing in terms of you being in your own business as well. You know, such a strong, resilient outlook is definitely one key quality that you have. And I think that we should all have, you know, to be able to, I would say, not just pull through this situation, but generally in life.
Yes, yeah, totally.
Okay, great. So I think that's all we have for today. Thank you so much for your time. I hope to ask more, but I know your time is so tight. I really appreciate that. Now, Dee, as well, if you would like to get in touch with you, please give us your links, whether it's for your emergency career clinic. Would you like to share here as well if anyone likes to get in touch?
Sure. You know, I'm super available for people. Please reach out to me. So you can email me. That's easy. And Brenda, you can put that on your links. I'll share that in the links, I think. And also, you know, I run a Career Queens Facebook group. That's Career Queens with a Z at the end, QUEENZ. I've changed it to Career Queens and Kings because I realize that men need help as well. So please, it doesn't matter. Just you can like the page Career Queens and Kings, and then you'll get some content there as well. And I'll always make announcements of the job clinics and things there. And I'll share the job clinic link with you, Brenda. You can post it to your crowd.
Yeah, brilliant. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Till our next series, thank you all for tuning in. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay strong, and importantly, have a resilient outlook. Now you have work to do after this video, all right?
Yes, build your rich network.
Take action. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Brenda.